Waiting for a few people to come on here. Testing audio right now. Looks like that's going all right. There we go. Let me get that going here. And I will check out the live chat here. I'll broadcast this on Twitter and then we'll get going. Just waiting for a few people to come on here, setting up the live stream still. You guys might be able to hear me already. You probably do. Go down and get that. Paste the link here, and I'll be with you in a second. Let's see. I don't see any chat coming on yet. Let's see here. Loud and clear. Okay, we got some people chatting in here now. Okay, cool. Just wait for a few more people to join on here. Hello, everybody. Let me know where you're from, too. We can talk about whatever you guys want along the West Coast here. Some pretty crazy weather coming for California, too. And, of course, you guys know by now about the Arctic air coming for the Pacific Northwest here right now. But it's not looking too favorable across western Washington, for example, as far as snowfall is concerned. But it could pack a surprise here. So kind of still waiting and seeing what comes here. So I have a couple days to go. Looking at the NAM 12-kilometer run here. This is hot off the presses here. Nice shot of Arctic air coming. It's just not a great trajectory, really, for lowland snowfall into western Washington. Whatcom County, Everett, Eureka, California, Fraser Valley, South Bay Area, California, Abbotsford, BC. The weatherman is here from Federal Way. Snohomish, Turlock, California, San Francisco. Yeah, who's at work right now? Service industry jobs. South Sound News. Merced. Well, it's going to get cold down there through California. You guys have probably heard what's coming right now. Quite a bit of chatter about it going on here. Let's do this. Let's go to North America and just take a wider look at things here. The most recent GFS is just now starting to run here. Let's see how many hours we have. And you can see that polar lobe come down over us. We're at hour 40, 8:51 here now. Yeah, the issue is really that, I was kind of hoping this polar lobe would be a little bit stronger, a little bit further across the Yukon into BC here and bring a little bit more cold air across the region into western Washington here. And it's just not the great trajectory here to bring that deep lowland snowfall here to western Washington. But it's going to form this little low pressure system off the coast of Oregon here too. This is the most recent European, and check this out. We got pretty good model agreement coming on here as we go on into Wednesday morning here. There is some chances for some snow right around the vicinity of the slow pressures. Not showing a lot for the Willamette Valley in the most recent runs here, but the coastal range here is probably going to get hammered pretty well here, up towards a foot of snow for portions of Oregon there. Central Vancouver Island, for example. Let's take a look. This is the most recent European here. Total snow 10-to-1 ratio. Actually, let's go to Kuchera. Take a look here. And you can see Vancouver Island, the higher terrain, getting some snowfall as we go on to Tuesday morning would be here. And BC getting a good shot of snowfall as well. Some of the higher terrain, the Cascades of Washington, finally starting to come down to the Cascades of Oregon as we go on through Tuesday morning here. A little bit of light snowfall starts showing up here. We might get some flakes around the Puget Sound as we go on into the day Tuesday. Things start to cool down. Shouldn't be too disruptive here. Should be above freezing for much of the lower elevations here, but you might see snowflakes flying here across western Washington, Oregon, southwest BC. And we go into Wednesday morning and we start to get a little bit better chance here, mainly across western Oregon, really. But you can see it's just not a big snowmaker here for the lowlands of Washington or Oregon, really. I mean, but it is showing a potential for a couple inches of things up the line just right here across the Willamette Valley. And look at that storm coming out. I just got to point this out. Across Colorado, out for eastern Montana, Nebraska, South Dakota there, North Dakota. What an intense storm it's looking like is going to unfold here across this week, all the way out across the plains. I mean, look at that swath of foot-plus snow out there. Some areas up over 2 feet as well. But, you know, on the West Coast here, we got our own stuff coming up here. Some huge mountain snowfalls. If you are traveling and you are not prepared tomorrow night across the mountains, like the Cascades, for example, you're going to be in trouble. And the pass is probably going to be closed off and on as you go on in through tomorrow night as well. Huge mountain snows coming. A lot of cold air all the way down through California. And this is 90 hours out showing here. And you can see even some of the coastal range of California getting some snowfall. And the snow levels are going to be really low all the way down through Northern California towards the Bay Area, all the way down through Southern California here. Pretty low snow levels. Some areas might get snow below 1,000 feet here across North California. Okay, let me catch up on the chat here. Let's see. What are you guys doing? Lake Stevens, Debbie and Elson is here. We got Wenatchee, Woodinville, Ellensburg, Skagit County, East Central Vancouver Island. You might get some outflow winds to bring a little bit of snowfall. You might get some light snowfall, as well as along kind of the north slope of the Olympic Mountains here with some of that outflow wind. You might get some convergence and upslope play there with a little bit of snowfall there. Bainbridge Island. Sacramento area. We got Spider-Man in here. Hello, everybody. Quantum Entangled Tardigrade. That's one of the most interesting YouTube names I've seen. On the mouth of the Grays Harbor, there is sometimes a radar echo, even on clear days. Why? Well, if we take a closer look at that, let's see if we can see that right now, in fact. Let's go to radar scope. And we're going to take a look at the Langley Doppler here, and I'll tell you why that is the case here. See if we can see it right now. Is this what you're talking about? Sometimes these echoes here. And someone just left some money. Noah Clip, thank you very much for the generosity. Thank you, Noah Clip. How do I celebrate that super chat there? That's very nice of you. So this is wave activity. Let's put this into motion here. So the beam is low elevation beam going across the top of the wave activity out here across the ocean there. So that's why Langley Doppler picks up that activity out there. See that going on? Those are waves. You can actually even see traffic sometimes on roadways. I mean, sometimes it's going through tops of trees or it'll hit hilltops. All kinds of neat stuff goes on with Doppler radars there. Love the La Nina video. Thanks. Yeah, I hope you guys could use that information there. I remember for years, I kind of struggled with what La Nina and El Nino was when I was in my younger years. It was hard to understand as a whole. And now that we are understanding it a little bit better, we can, you know, kind of share that information a bit more. Been following you in hopes of getting some better info. The snow in the passes. Yeah, the snow in the passes looks pretty darn good coming up here. I mean, some really heavy amounts are going to come. It's going to get locally enhanced by the convergence zone across some of the central Puget Sound as well, but just big amounts all the way down through Oregon and California, the Sierras. Just a nice winter, late winter actually, going on in through springtime. Meteorological spring starts in about, 10 days here, folks. And Catherine, I don't want to mispronounce your last name, but thank you very much, Catherine, for the generosity. Yes, birds also do it too. Brad Ward points that out as well. You can get birds. You can get bats as well. You can get birds. You can get bats. Sometimes in Texas, they got a Doppler radar running, and you can see the bats emerge from the cave at night, and it just creates really cool echo as it comes up and they go out of the ground or out of the caves, and you can really see them move across the radar areas there. And birds too, the migrating birds like Brad Ward pointed out there. And we've got some light precipitation coming across the Puget Sound now. Let's go to this. I'm going to close up the radar scope here, and I just want to kind of look at this radar Omega really quick. Radar Omega has this ability to where you can go and set up your radar settings to MRMS. This will show the culmination of Doppler radars everywhere. It's not going to be that high resolution, but you can kind of see where it's precipitating here based on each individual Doppler radar. You don't have to select just one like you do in radar scope. And another thing with the radar Omega here too, you can see the winter storm warning. So if I click on this location here, then you can see the winter storm warning there, and it gives you all the information there. It shows the winds gusting 60 miles per hour, accumulations 10 to 20 inches, Snoqualmie Pass probably around a foot, and you're locally going to get bigger amounts as you go too. But you can click on any individual one of these here as well. And you can see even a little bit further north there. Look at that, 20 to 36 inches possible, mainly above 3,500 feet, including Stevens Pass, 60 miles per hour. Just a wild time up there. Have your kits ready to go. Be prepared to wait in line a little bit here, too. They're probably going to be closing I-90 and Highway 2 if I had to bet. There might be some avalanche control issues going on out there. I know there's high avalanche warning going on currently. And the Gore 54 Miller, thank you very much for the kind words and the donation there. Yeah, Aaron Green, I hope, I've got my fingers crossed that we might get some snow in through early March. It's happened before. I've seen it happen before. I mean, it's possible. We can get snow into March here. We can get snow into April. I mean, Jordan Trumpner, thank you very much. Youth sports officials, please consider joining a local association. You know, I wondered about that. My son plays flag football, and I always thought that was interesting. I know we had some issues trying to get referees from time to time as well. It actually doesn't pay that bad either, if I'm not mistaken, and it's pretty fun to do. Actually, get you some exercise and get paid. But yeah, I like Radar Omega because it shows also like winter weather advisories. You can see the purple here, and you can see the blue for the winter storm warnings here, and you can see the winter weather advisories all the way down through some of the California coastline there as well. We got winter storm watches out there also. But yeah, you can see up to a foot down there in some of the coastal ranges of California, gusting 60. And it's going to be really unusually low with the snow levels down here across California as well. And then as you get into Thursday and Friday, it's going to get pretty darn cold across some of the Central Valley as well. Some places are going to get down towards freezing that are not used to those conditions. Greetings from Squim. Yeah, 2001, 2002, it did snow in March. We had one of the best thunder snow displays I've ever seen in March of 2002. And it happened just over South Seattle, and there was hundreds of lightning strikes. I think there was 5+ inches of snow. Just a really amazing storm that was. Yeah, and I'll show you why California is going to get so cold here too. Let me show you something here really fast. I'll be right back here. Stand by. Okay. I had to close the door and make sure the dog wasn't coming in the room. Okay, so if you can see here, we're looking here at, I believe we're looking at 700 millibars here. And if we put this out a little bit further, you can see California here just getting this polar lobe right off the coastline there. And you can see this air just coming right off of British Columbia and Southeast Alaska. And it's taken this perfect trajectory just to bring this really cold air aloft on a very direct path. It's not getting much time to modify over the open water there or anything. It's really just going to launch all the way down across Southern California. And the model's been kind of showing that this is hanging up a bit here to this low pressure. So some of the precipitation values were increasing here across the state of California as well, which will help snow for the higher elevations as well. North Idaho. So let's look at some of the maps here. Let's go ahead and go to this one here. I mean, you can see across some of the Idaho Panhandle, this only goes out 90 hours. This is the 18Z, the 10 a.m. run here, the European model. And you can see some of the higher elevations like Lookout Pass. And once you go eastbound out of there, some huge amounts. And I mean, you really can't overstate the storm that is coming here for portions of Wyoming, Montana, on in through Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota. This is a really intense system here rolling across the area. And I'm going to look at this a little bit more detail tonight after before I go to bed probably here. But this looks like a really impressive storm. I might have to do a video just on that storm system coming up here maybe tomorrow. Yeah, Denise talks about the Linwood, Washington. It snowed in April. Yeah, I remember that. It's snowing in April. 2008, we had some snow in April there as well around the Puget Sound. So it can happen for sure. Reflect the Sun says, fill up the reservoirs. Time for smudge pots. What is a smudge pot? Is that the smudge pot? Is that what they burn in the orchards out there? I don't know what that is, but he'll probably answer me here in a minute. So yeah, let's take a look at that really quick. And you can see Portland. This was the 18Z European here. There is still a chance for the Willamette Valley to pick up a couple inches here. It's going to be kind of messy and probably a bit slushy here, especially in the lower elevations here. But you can see there is that chance. Better for Portland and the Willamette Valley than Western Washington as it looks right now. 62 miles per hour in Ellensburg, 56 in Thorpe. That is impressive. Thorpe has an excellent fruit stand out there as well. I always stop by there when I go out and chase dust devils. No, meteorological spring is just the section between March 1st and June 1st that best describes spring weather-wise. I mean, I know officially it doesn't start until March 21st or whatever it is, somewhere around there, March 20th. But meteorological spring, it's an easy to assess portion of spring. So you go March, April, May is spring. Summer is June, July, August. Fall, September, October, November. Winter, December, January, February. But yeah, the snow into Western Washington is going to be tough, and it's even going to be tough into Oregon too. Things are going to have to line up just right there. Look at Eugene here on the 12 or the 18Z European model there. That's impressive. I mean, the control showing 5 inches there. A lot of the ensemble shows some measurable precipitation coming for not for Ellensburg, but for Eugene, Oregon there. Smudge pots keep the citrus groves from dying. Yeah, so that's what I was wondering. So I've seen those in Yakima too. I think they have the combination of smudge pots and the wind machines as well, so it kind of mixes that warm air around the orchards there. Just booked tickets to New Zealand. That sounds like fun, actually. June, which is their winter. Yeah, they can get some really strong storms. Some mid-latitude cyclones can really impact New Zealand out there pretty well. Purchased a snowblower this year. Chance of snow 0. Battleground, Washington. You're down there far enough south where you might get a little bit of snow. You don't know. Never give up hope. I don't know if it's going to be cold enough snow to be blowing around with a snowblower, though. Yeah, it looks like an El Nino is coming. Reflect the Sun talking about that a little bit there. Yeah, we need some snow in the mountains. This will be beneficial. You know, we kind of fell behind a little bit there in January. Yeah, there's all kinds of new stuff coming. I like this total snow plume they just put out here, for example. And look at Stampede Pass here. Some big snows coming for Stampede Pass. Mount Baker ski area. Look at that, up towards 30 inches. You might get locally higher amounts around the area there as well. Verdun, Harea, thank you very much. I'm curious, has any effect that has gone underwater volcano shown up this winter yet? That's a good question. I got to look into that more. I know that Hunga Tonga blast launched a lot of water vapor into the atmosphere, so it's bound to have some effect on the planet, but I have not looked into it that much. I started to hear some chatter about it, then things quieted down, so I don't know if people are still undergoing research. A lot of times, the good studies don't come out for a year or 2 or 3 after such an event. So we'll kind of figure out how it affected things kind of after the fact. So we'll understand it better the next round. But I think there's probably still, the studies are being done and the kind of information that we're looking for is still not quite determined yet. Okay, I got a request for Bellingham here. Let's check that out really quick. And I'll show you what's going on here. You're not dealing with that much moisture up there as this system comes through, but it is showing maybe a little bit. You might see some flakes flying here. You might get a little bit of snowfall, but you can see most of the ensembles are generally less than an inch for Bellingham. The mean is just about a half an inch to control. Same thing there too. 1,200 feet, about 15 minutes out from Eugene. I would bet that you'll probably see snow. Carmen down there, Eugene, Oregon, 1,200 feet. That's probably a good bet. You get elevation here going on, especially down through Oregon into California. You're probably going to see some snowfall. So what happened after you hit the cop? Did your insurance premium? You know, my insurance has not gone up really. It might have gone up a little bit, but I've been pretty good for a long time. I never had any accidents or anything. So it's maybe this is my mulligan. I don't know. I'm in Arlington, not seeing any snow. Yeah, the earliest you'll probably see snow is maybe on Tuesday. You'll start to see some flakes coming in. So Arlington here, let's check that out. Let's go to Arlington here really quick. Yeah, you can see, I mean, look at that. That's a little bit of over an inch there. That's not bad. So Boeing Field for the heck of it here. Look at that, the sad snow totals. Boeing Field is like snow death here across the Puget Sound. Let's go to Bremerton. Not much showing up there. Chehalis Centralia, a little bit further south. The mean is up over an inch there. Crystal Mountain, nice snowfall incoming here, probably up over a foot. Let's go to Ephrata here. I want to see Eastern Washington. A little bit drier snow out there. Might get an inch. Fairchild Air Force Base. Friday Harbor, you know, so that's the thing. Everybody talks about, you know, it gets downplayed, but when you pick up an inch of snow, it's kind of disruptive, honestly. I mean, especially if the temperature is freezing or below. You start to deal with those slick roadways, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't matter too much if it's 4 inches or 2 or whatnot. If it's below freezing, things get slick pretty quick. Hurricane Ridge, look at that, up over half a foot coming there. So yeah, let's look down towards California here. And you know, the models have been showing some snow coming. I mean, even look at this. This is San Jose here. It's showing 2 inches. The problem here is that you can see, I mean, the grid is only 131 feet there included in that. But again, this is just probably not going to happen. You're probably going to need some elevation here, probably some hills above 500 feet. I wouldn't be surprised to see some snowflakes, but I would be very shocked to see it down at the airport there at San Jose. Yeah, it's tough to see cold air come down and you not get out some snowfall. You know, it's rough. I know it is. It gets me too. So what is Brad saying? Mammoth here. So let's back up a little bit. Let's go to the 12Z here. I mean, by the time you get towards March 1st, ended February here, you're looking at 30 inches there. Pretty good agreement there between the model, the control model, and the ensemble mean there. That is the $1 million question. When can we expect the next El Nino? Probably, it looks odds on favorite are right now for next year. There's about 60% chance, according to the experts there at NOAA, that we're headed towards an El Nino by fall. Harry Reid Airport here. I'm not familiar with that. Is there another name for it here? Do you see it on the list? I don't know what Harry Reid is. Yeah, the thing with the Bay Area is that you'll need to get under kind of a heavier band of showers there. And, you know, you need to get some kind of convective activity to enhance that. Oh, Las Vegas. Okay. I'm sitting there thinking California. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't looked at Vegas here too much, but you can see they are showing that potential for some snowfall down there. But I'm not, you know how it goes out there. Even when you see some flakes on the strip, it's pretty rare, even though that did happen a couple of weeks ago there. Yeah, the next El Nino is probably going to set records across the globe for warmest years ever. So that's not something to look forward to, but that's probably where we're headed when this next El Nino comes around. And if it's one of those monster El Ninos, then it's going to be pretty, it'll be pretty interesting to see what kind of temperatures that brings, honestly. Oh yeah, the Siskiyou's out there too. Let's check out Siskiyou's. Should we do, let's go here, let's do this. I don't know if the Siskiyou Summit, I can't remember if it shows up in Oregon or if it shows up in, there we go, Siskiyou Summit. Check that out. You got multiple rounds coming on here. You can see that one that goes on in through Friday morning shown here. Then another shot. We got another good system coming up here towards the end of February as well, as you can see kind of reflected here in the Siskiyou Summit. Look at that. Talking about over half a foot there. Then another round as you go on in through early March, and then maybe more off into the extended there. So yeah, going to be some wintry driving conditions back and forth there on I-5 through Northern California into Southern California coming up here for the end of the week, really mid to towards the end of the week coming up here. El Nino and king tides. Yeah, nice warm water, low pressure, king tide, big waves. That would equal some beach erosion. Yeah, that's the thing. You'll probably get some kind of heavier showers and convection that will bring some snowfall to the Bay Area. Not snowfall, I want to say, but small hail. You'll get some of those heavier showers and they'll roll across the area, and you'll get those hail showers that'll drop down towards the sea level area here. So I want to show you this really quick before I forget here too as well. This is the huge ridge here. The energy we're talking about right now is about back here. It's just coming up across south of Kodiak, and it's going to just come flying over the top of this ridge. Just ride this ridge. You can see the development of the storm actually there at the end of this loop here. Right there. There goes that low pressure system. This thing's going to barrel through British Columbia, and that's what's going to bring the big winds across British Columbia, Washington, portions of Oregon, the higher terrain through tomorrow. And watch out for that westerly surge coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca as well. Let's see if I can bring that up here really quick. So this was the 18Z here, and you can see some 60-mile-per-hour gusts coming down the strait there as well. Gusty through Seattle, Everett, up towards Marysville, and the higher terrain also. The mountains are going to be no joke tomorrow night, guys. So if you are traveling, be prepared for that. Port Angeles, yeah, you guys are, the models were saying some 50-mile-per-hour gusts are possible Port Angeles. Of course, it's going to be more towards the water as you get out over the open water there. Less the further you go towards the Olympic Mountains there until you start going up on the higher terrain. They get the bigger gusts there also, but yeah. Okay, catch up on the chat here. Yeah, that's a good question here. I have not looked at that. Let's go ahead and look at the Canadian here really quick. We'll do duplicate map here, and we'll go to the high resolution Canadian here first, and we'll check it out. This is just now running here. How much time do we have in there? So let's go to, actually, let's do this first. You can see the mountain snow is just going to be going all the way from really now all the way into Monday here. You can see not much of a break across the Cascades of Washington here. Start going on into Tuesday. You can see some convergent zone activity across the central sound into the Cascades. The mountain snow starting for the Oregon Cascades. Coastal rain starting to get in the action. The Willapa Hills down here, southwest Washington, the Olympic Mountains. And that goes out 41 hours. It's not done running yet, so we'll check this out. Let's go to the 10-kilometer. A little bit lower resolution here. But now we're going to get towards that colder air moving down across the region here. And it's in pretty good agreement with the European here. You can see that low pressure kind of off the Oregon coast there, kind of just hanging out here. And you can see snow for the Willamette Valley showing up in the Canadian as well. You see some residual snowfall across the Puget Sound, and there's always kind of a surprise. So I hesitate at saying that we're not going to get anything across the Puget Sound, because you know how this goes. You say that and all of a sudden you start getting some snow flying and sticking on the roadways out there, and people start losing their minds. But you can see the best chance is probably upslope onto the Olympics there, maybe onto Vancouver Island as well. But look at the Willamette Valley. I mean, this snow's kind of trying to hang on here all the way in through Wednesday night there as well, as this low takes its sweet time moving south, bringing some pretty good snowfall amounts all the way down the Oregon coastal range, and then eventually down to California, the Siskiyous, Cascades, down to the Sierras. Hoping to chase Snoqualmie Pass on Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to be running into a lot of snow up there. El Nino usually brings wetter than normal to California, but it is not a slam dunk. Like I mentioned yesterday, when that 2015, 2016 Godzilla El Nino was coming for California, they thought they were in for some really rainy conditions, and it really actually came up to the Pacific Northwest. So even in the strong El Nino years, you cannot guarantee big rains for California, but it is, the chances are increased for it. Do I know why the GFS tends to be a little bit more optimistic about high snow amounts? It has a bias. It tends to allow more cold air into the area. And it's just not as good of a model, too. And it's kind of a higher resolution model, too. So sometimes the higher amounts bleed down from the mountains in towards the Puget Sound and stuff like that into the Willamette Valley. Yeah, and those deformation bands, like the weatherman says, sometimes it's such a subtle thing, because when you bring a low pressure system like this, you barely need any kind of lift or forcing, and you can just wring out the atmosphere. And especially when the atmosphere is cold, it doesn't have the ability to hold much moisture. So if you have any kind of forcing or lift going on, any kind of instability in the atmosphere or anything, you can really wring out snow showers. It can drop an inch or two that were not expected. So it's really, you just kind of have to have your guard up here as you go on into Wednesday morning across the region here. Most of you probably won't see accumulating snowfall. You'll probably see some snowflakes in the air across western Washington and the Willamette Valley here. But again, the chances are going to be higher for the Willamette Valley, and you cannot rule out some of these individual bands setting up shop here across the Puget Sound. I mean, you've got this low pressure system here, and sometimes this snow can spread further north from the low and whatnot as well. Yeah, the gradient set up a little bit differently in that year, that 2015-16, that strong El Nino. The gradient just set up a little bit different, and the strong storm track was there that they expected, which usually goes into California, but it kind of came north in towards the Pacific Northwest more than normal here, and it really left California high and dry compared to what they were expecting. I live a few miles from the Columbia River in Longview, and most of the bad storms split. Longview, Washington. Are you on Longview? I'm drawing a blank here. I know Longview is out here. I don't know if you're getting some effect off the higher terrain. Depends on how close to the higher terrain you are down there across Longview. Yeah, so let's look at that really quick here. So you can see the Hawaiian Islands out here. So is this what you're talking about, that wind coming around the high pressure system there? This is what we're doing right now. There's a cutoff low. There's Hawaii. There's Washington here. Again, this is 700 millibars. Let's go to 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. So you can kind of see that big ridge out here and put it into motion there. And you can see that cutoff low kind of meandering. And then there comes our shot of cold air. And look at that thing just march all the way down across the state of California here. And you can see kind of this polar lobe trying to reach out across Pacific Northwest, but it's just not that strong. You notice that flow, once this polar lobe tries to get here, it's just not that strong enough to get over this terrain here and really blast down across the Pacific Northwest. That's kind of why we're missing out on the snow here. You can kind of see it hang out off the coastline there. And then there's going to be the secondary punch here to California as that low pressure system and it's taking its sweet time to move down. These are 3-hour increments here. This storm just kind of really moving slowly here, and it's trending even slower here as we go on in through Friday night, Saturday morning. It's still down over Southern California there. And we're going to remain active, folks. Look at this next lobe here coming down over us as well. Continued La Nina pattern here, as you probably saw in one of my tweets earlier. And as we keep going a little bit further out there, you can see continued activity coming down out of the northwest across the region here as well. Some strong frontal systems, some good snowfall. Can't complain about that. It'll help the water supply as we go on into spring and summer. Yeah, so that Kona low out in Hawaii was really wild. I mean, this thing has been hanging out for a few days, and it's still kind of going on there. Yesterday, Hilo, Hawaii had 3 inches of rain in back-to-back hours, like 6.1 inches of rain in a 2-hour period. So they were just getting drenched out there. I didn't see many more details here, but if we go back, let's do this. Let's go to 60 and we'll go back to 2-hour time frame and see how far this takes us out. The 15th. And maybe we can just watch the development of this Kona storm out here across the Hawaiian Islands. Because it has been a wild time out there. So this is February 15th here. This is like 6 in the morning. And you can see this low pressure, unstable, deep moisture coming up over the islands from the 15th to the 16th. And there's the Kona low spinning here, the main low pressure system there, continuing to bring this very deep moisture across the state here, all the way through the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, and on in through today. We're still getting that moisture up over the area here. The trade winds are finally going to start to return here a bit. But that was pretty intense here. It'll be interesting to see some of the individual amounts that have happened. I think that I saw a graphic on Twitter. I want to say that they had close to 18 inches of rain, for example, over portions of eastern Big Island there, Mountain View, Hilo. Out there, we're getting up over a foot of rain, 1.5 feet, up to 20 inches over a 72-hour period out there. Snow on the mountains. Yeah, it's a common thing out there with the Kona lows as well. I still want to go up there and check out one of those mountains when there's snow on top. Well, the AA Ron asked about systems moving in different directions. Well, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but a low pressure will generally spin counterclockwise, and like the high pressure, this ridge out over the ocean here, if we put that in motion, you can kind of see that clockwise rotation here to the high pressure there, and the low pressure kind of spins counterclockwise. You can kind of see them there as we go. You can imagine that high pressure sinking and spreading outwards. And this is a good example of the Coriolis effect actually right here too. So you can see this high pressure kind of spreading this air southward, and the Coriolis effect starts to take it off to the west there like that. It's kind of a good example there. And that's what tends to bring these trade showers to the Hawaiian Islands through much of the year. The wet side of the Big Island, indeed. North Everett is in the house here. Any snow for Tillamook? Yeah, that's a good question too. I mean, it's going to get pretty low out in the coastal range. The snow level, you're not going to have to go that high out of Tillamook off into the hills there to get some snowfall. But I wouldn't be shocked to see actually some mixed rain and snow down towards the lower elevations there. But I don't expect a lot of accumulating snow like on Highway 101, for example. Yeah, Lane Vanderwall mentioned that graphic the National Weather Service put out the other day before Monday. They're talking about the 1% chance of 1 inch of snow, and areas ended up getting more than an inch and up to 3 and 4 inches of snowfall out there. Some pretty... Yeah, I don't want to badmouth anybody, so I'll try to just stay away from that a little bit, I guess. Jeanette, you live at 1,400 feet. Where do you live? Because 1,400 feet, probably a lot of areas up and down the West Coast, you're in for some snowfall. Yeah, we're not expecting snow yet. The earliest it'll probably happen is probably on Tuesday. You might see some snow start to mix in. The best chance is Wednesday, but light snowfall should be the main course for Western Washington, maybe a little bit more for Western Oregon. And I'm trying to hedge my bet here too, because we have a couple days to look at this. But if you have any elevation down through Oregon, south, you're really going to get some nice snowfall out of this. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the extended a little bit here. So let's look at the 8. Let's do the control run of the European here. Let's try to look at how active we're going to be. So here we are going through this evening. You can kind of see the ridge going. But look at this. Now I was pointing that out on the infrared satellite imagery. Just south of Kodiak is our storm system. It's going to ride that ridge, and this thing is just going to blast through British Columbia. Tight gradient across western Washington, higher terrain. Arctic high starting to sag south across the region there. Then the trough kind of hangs out there. That low pressure system sets up over northwest Oregon there as we go on into Wednesday morning. And that's probably going to be the best shot for some snowfall across western Oregon there Wednesday morning there. The Arctic high sags south, start to dry out a bit as we go on into Thursday morning here. Things cool down into Friday morning. And you can see additional system kind of drags through southeast Alaska there at hour 144. So now what comes after that? Let's back up to the 12Z European here. And you can see that next system kind of going through. We're still in kind of that northwest flow going across the area there. So we're going to be chillier than normal. Some Arctic air tries to go down a little bit here, but not too much. Another system dives down out of the north. And we just continue to remain active with this troughing just kind of going on over the Gulf of Alaska, a little bit here through the extended also here. So we're going to have multiple rounds of weather continue to come on after this. But we are going to dry out for a couple days here, and that's shown here. You can see as this system drops south during the day Wednesday, it's going to dry out across BC, western Washington, then eventually Oregon on the day, I should say night Thursday on into Friday. You can see things really drying out by Friday morning across Pacific Northwest here. And we're going to be pretty chilly here as we go on into Friday and Saturday morning before the next system tries to come in here. And we'll see how that interacts too. There could be some cold air in place, and we might briefly even start to snow across places like BC and western Washington too. We'll watch that. Reading the chats here. Yeah, you're going to get some strong outflow winds up there across Bellingham, Whatcom County there. The gusts could be up towards 45, 50 miles per hour for some areas. Yeah, let's see if I can bring that up. The water level in the reservoirs here. So if I can find it. Or did I just Google that last time? Darn it, I did not save that. Is this not it? It doesn't look like it's it. This is something else here, actually, but it does show the data here. That's not the one we're looking for here. Let's back up a little bit there. There it is. Okay, here we go. Yeah, look at Shasta's getting close to their historical levels there. Look at Oroville. Folsom. Not doing too bad. Trinity could use some work there as well. Now you got to remember, you can see the capacity though and the volume of some of these too. You can see some of these you're looking at, you're like, oh, look at Sonoma, but that's a pretty small reservoir compared to Shasta. Looking down south a little bit here as well. Not doing too bad. You guys probably remember when I first brought this up in late December, and some of these reservoirs are really low. I think Shasta was like 32% the first time I did this. Yeah, so let's go over the snow map again here really quick. Let's do this. Let's do control. We'll do 10-to-1 ratio here. This is the 18Z European now, and you can see. Now, especially across the Cascades and any higher terrain across Oregon is going to get some nice snowfall, especially western Oregon here. And I mean, look at the control rate. It's showing some decent amounts through the Willamette Valley. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up just yet. I need another full day to be convinced that these snow totals are actually going to materialize for western Oregon here. And what is this? This is about 84 hours out. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's check the NAM 12 kilometer here. A little bit. And you can see it kind of shows Willamette Valley, not getting too much, but you can see Kelso, Longview there getting a little bit better. Some of Portland Metro there getting over 2 inches of snowfall. You might see some flakes flying really anywhere across Pacific Northwest here, but your chances are going to increase greatly with any kind of elevation. Bend, Oregon. Alaska-related weather. Yeah, we deal with that quite a bit at work with Alaska. I'll try to eventually do that. If I get the channel bigger, I'll eventually try to do that. Yeah, you never know. I mean, once you get the cold air in place here in the Pacific Northwest, as long as it precipitates, you know, it's just like anywhere else. You can get decent snowfall amounts if you get the right conditions here in the Pacific Northwest. It's just kind of a chore to do so sometimes. Global warming, is it real or fake? What do you guys think? Yeah, I try to stay away from political arguments. It shouldn't be a political argument, but it becomes a political argument. But global warming is as real as basic physics. It's occurring. We're changing the atmosphere. It doesn't mean we all feel live like hippies, though, at the same time. So there's a give and take. There's overreaction by both sides. It is occurring, and we do need to prepare for it, but you don't need to just give up your living style to do so. Yeah, I was reading a question. Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to make any of my viewers angry here, but global warming is occurring. It's actually a thing. Doesn't mean we're all going to die or anything. What kind of winds to expect around downtown Seattle Metro tomorrow? I'd expect winds into the 40-mile-per-hour range, probably. We went over that a little bit here. Let me just go ahead and do this. Let's see what the NAM says, the newest NAM here. Gust swath says 38 for Seattle. I don't like this, though. I think the westerly surge is going to be a little bit stronger than that as well. Probably the outflow winds will be as well. I think the NAM is underdoing things a little bit there. So let's check out the NAM 3KM, the higher resolution model here. 40 for Seattle. You can see the bigger amounts up towards the San Juans and some of the outflow winds. Look at that, up towards 50 miles per hour there. Yeah, the whole thing about the global cooling thing back in the 70s is that there were actually more scientific papers that talked about global warming. It's just that one of the media outlets caught up to a couple of those global cooling papers, but there was actually more discussion and more scientific research that pointed towards global warming even in the 70s. But it's fine. It shouldn't be a political argument. We can have a civil argument without getting too bent out of shape about it. The Scrappy Crafter, thank you very much for your generosity. Kemeshwari Kate, thank you very much. Planning on taking a ferry from, I'm not sure I pronounced that, but to Victoria on Tuesday a.m. with a p.m. return. So you're going to go out there on Tuesday morning, you say. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so it's going to be a little interesting out there. Where is that from? Where is that? I got to put, let me see if I can copy and paste that name there. I'm not sure where that location is. Is there a map here? We got a map. Let's check it out. So you're going to go from there back and forth. So you're going to be away from the biggest winds coming across the Strait of Juan de Fuca there, but it's going to be pretty windy out there. I'd be interested to see if that ferry actually goes. Let's zoom in a little bit more here on that region. States, Seattle. So you can see, I mean, so what? Tuesday morning, there's 4 in the morning, 5, 6. You might be all right. Winds gusting in the 20s there. So it should be on the relax, which is good. But you can see Monday night, it's going to be no joke out there. You can get some gusts up in the upper 50s here around the area. But then watch what happens as we go on in through Tuesday evening. Check out the outflow winds. You can kind of see it just emerge through the Fraser River Gap here. Big winds here too showing up. Some gusts up over 50 miles per hour. Look at that, just blasting across some of the San Juans out there as well. So you wouldn't want to be going here. Oh, actually, that's Tuesday night. So that's when your return is, Tuesday night. You're going to watch out there, because it depends on what time you're leaving. Trying to get back that way, you're going to be fighting a wicked wind. You'd be fighting some big waves too. So I'll be interested to see if that ferry goes. Message me on tomorrow or on the video here as you go on in through Wednesday, and tell me if that ferry actually goes. Edward, thank you very much for the generosity, sir. Yeah, there's still a lot of chat here about the global warming thing. I mean, I don't know why it's a political thing. We're burning up, we're digging up the earth and we're burning it into the atmosphere. I don't know how that's really something that's very controversial, and why that surprises people that it would increase the heat of the planet. I don't understand why that's even a controversial thing. But at the same time, I mean, you don't need to change the way you're living right now. We just need to work as a species to kind of make things cleaner and try to make things better for our kids and our grandkids and all that good stuff. So it shouldn't be controversial. We should just be able to have civil conversations about it. And I can understand the concern for people wanting to control what others do and trying to restrict what you can use and, you know, and all that stuff, and trying to take away any kind of freedom or anything like that based on global warming. So I understand that view of it as well. You just want to understand that it is a real thing. But yeah, I understand that people don't want to be manipulated by it either. Brookings, Oregon. So National Weather Service Medford forecasting 1 to 2 inches for Brookings, Oregon. Let's see. Tawasin. Okay. Yeah, Sam, that's fine. Yeah, it's good to have conversations about it. There should be no issue talking about it. We have to have conversations about pretty much anything in science, especially meteorology related. Yeah, Brookings has a very awesome microclimate down there. Actually, let's look at that. Let's look at Brookings, Oregon. So it's got a pretty crazy setup down there. You've got a big mountain range just off. Of course, you know, if you've ever been down to Brookings, Oregon, huge mountain range out there, and you get these offshore winds that come down there, and it really warms up the temperatures a lot of times out there along the immediate coastline out there in Brookings, Oregon. But now let's look here. Let's go to surface winter, and we'll go to total snow Kuchera and the NAM 3KM. I mean, even the NAM has been underplaying snow totals, and even that is showing some snowfall into the Willamette Valley. So that kind of increases my confidence a little bit right there in and of itself of getting a bit of snowfall down to the Willamette Valley. And, you know, for me, sometimes it's just enough to watch the snow fall and stick a little bit. And I don't always need a foot of snow, even though I do like it, but it's just kind of fun to watch it fall at times as well. But if anybody has any doubt, check out the high resolution models here. As far as amount of snow coming for some of the Cascades is just outrageous. Yeah, let's go down to California too, because there's a lot of chat about that. Let's look at. So this goes in through. Okay, so let's back up a little bit here. Now we're looking at a high resolution model here, and you can see some of the snowfall even getting down towards the coastline there. It's not completely out of the question. Let's go to North California. We can zoom in a little bit here. But you get any kind of elevation here across Northern California, and you're going to quickly get into snow. Like these roads that don't normally get snowed on, all these little back roads in here in Northern California, you're going to get snow. And let's go ahead and look at the European as of 18Z here as well. And you can see that all the way out to some of the coastal regions here, you know, just a little bit of elevation is all it's going to take there. Now, this is going out a little bit further here as well. So some of this, you know, going through the Siskiyous on I-5, Northern California, it's going to get kind of crazy out there. It's going to be below freezing. Snow is going to be really low. Let's go to the 12Z European here as well. Now that secondary shot is going to be coming through here later this week. And look at some of this. That secondary shot's going to be very cold also. Look at some of these hills down towards the Bay Area. This is just wild. I mean, unless you've spent time in California, it's hard to grasp just how crazy it gets when you get snowfall into the lower elevations out there. Or even just when it rains heavily and there's wind and there's thunderstorms and there's weather going on, because so much of the year is just kind of nice and calm out there across the state. But when you live down there or spend a little bit of time down in California there, it gets really crazy really fast. And some of this is going to be high impact stuff across a lot of this coastal back roads and whatnot, coming back and forth. Even some of the higher terrain around San Francisco down there is going to get a decent amount of snowfall. I mean, look at this. Maybe you could surf, you could like use your surfboard and slide down the snow there on all the way down across Highway 1 to Big Sur there. I don't know. That's just kind of wild looking to me there. But yeah, look at some of the snowfall totals down here. I mean, what is this? You're talking about 1.5 feet in the hills outside of Big Sur down there. That's pretty incredible. And some of these areas up over 1/2 foot just outside of San Jose there, in between San Francisco and the ocean, getting a few inches there as well. And yeah, I mean, you're probably going to see even a few flakes in some of the higher hills. If I had to bet, you're probably going to see maybe some flakes in some of the higher hills right around the Bay Area here. And probably another thing going on here too, there's going to be some thunderstorm activity across the area here as well. I want to show that here real quick. Also, let's go to Central and we'll go to lightning flash here and we'll back up. Now, as we go on in through, I believe it is Wednesday, I can see, well, Tuesday, you can see some of that activity coming down the coastline there. Then you go on into Wednesday as we warm up the atmosphere a bit there on in through Wednesday. You can see thunderstorm activity there, some lightning potential as you go through Wednesday. How about Thursday? Let's check that out there as well. Yep, Thursday there too as well. So these convective showers are really going to drag some cold air down with them too as well. Some small hail, some lightning, gusty winds. The winds are another thing coming down the coastline here. Actually, let's look at that here too. How far does the NAM3 cam go out? Is it far enough to be able to pick this up yet? Let's take a look at surface wind. We'll go back to the Pacific Northwest here in a moment, folks. So put that into motion, and where's the front? Here we go. There come the winds. I mean, it's going to get really windy along the coastline. The higher terrain is just going to be roaring as we go here. And if we go to wind gust swath, yeah, pretty good winds all the way down the coastline here, higher terrain here with this system. So it's going to get crazy down there across the state. I'll get my catch up on the chats a little bit here now. Got some people going to bed. Brad Ward deleted a message. A lot of chatting going on here. Yeah, you know, March 1st, I was just south of Seattle and I got over 1 foot of snowfall. I was in South Park in Seattle and we got 1 foot of snow on March 1st. It was awesome. The 18 to the east still shows the potential for some snow into Portland there, just for those of you just joining me here. Mount Vernon snow. Yeah, most of Western Washington is probably going to be fairly light amounts. But that being said, you guys know how this goes. You've been watching my channel here for any length of time. When Arctic air arrives, you get surprises. So yeah, we'll take one more look at the wider view of things here. So this is the GFS. Let me update this, get the most recent data here. Let's go GFS. Oh, we'll go to North America. And we'll go to 500 millibar. Let's do temperature here. Actually, let's do... let's do temperature. But anyway, if you guys are just joining, before we log off here, we'll talk about a few more things here. You can see the big ridge right now. So I've stopped this. This is current. You can see the storm right now south of Kodiak. This is just a ridge rider. It's coming over the top of this ridge. And this thing is going to fly down towards Pacific Northwest and eventually all the way down through California here coming up. And so if we back up here a little bit here, you can see that energy right off of here. Put that into motion, and there it comes over the top of that ridge, and then this big trough just carves out all the way down through California here. And then you're going to get additional polar lobe activity here that's going to develop another storm system as we go on in through Wednesday, Thursday. And this will take its sweet time coming down the California coastline here, bringing in some really strong precipitation there. And you can kind of see that trough at 500 millibars just carved all the way out across California there. And also, we're going to remain active as we go into the extended as well. I mean, look at this next system here. That's a powerful frontal system coming for the Pacific Northwest as we go on into the following weekend shown there. Look at this frontal system. That's pretty big time as well. So we got some active stuff to watch coming up here, folks. Another trough carving out across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. And then you can see that jet stream stays strong northwesterly flow on through the extended here. The GFS hot off the presses here as well. So probably good mountain snows coming up here. Kelly Hamilton, thank you very much for your generosity. We got some unruly weather chasers in here. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have talked about, we talked a little about global warming there, but it should remain civil. There's no reason it can't remain civil. But yeah, it looks like we're going to remain active here coming up. Looks like the European will be running here in the next hour or so. I look forward to seeing what that one does. I always like watching the new European models run in here. Let's take a look at the wind speeds here real quick as well. So if I put that into motion, you can clearly see the trough. I love watching the wind speeds at like 18,000 feet, unfettered by terrain below. So you can really see how the trough and the cold air, the boundaries, the mid-latitude cyclones, where they form here, moves down the coast there. And we get another strong frontal system coming in there on through next weekend into early the following week. It's still strong jet stream remains in the area here. Another strong system would drive down during that following week there. So active pattern here. And let me see if I can I back up here? Let me look at, can I do the Pacific Ocean? There we go. Here we go. So as I showed earlier, if anybody missed it earlier, let me show this. We got, look at this powerful jet across the Western Pacific. That's kind of a trademark feature of La Nina there. And then you can see what happens. The strong jet stream comes here, and you get this downstream ridging here, and we tend to get this variable jet stream and northwest flow during La Nina years. And this period of time here is really a great example of La Nina coming up. Look at this jet stream, just persistently strong, continues to be there off the west coast of Asia here, just continuing across the Western Pacific here, and this ridging just nonstop here out over the Pacific Ocean, allowing these ripples to come down across Pacific Northwest. Kind of this whip-like pattern here happens. This variable jet stream continues there. So yeah, I'll just let this play out a little bit here, and you kind of see this semi-permanent ridge here across the Pacific Ocean here, kind of a perfect defining feature of La Nina here, and it's just in perfect form here over the next couple of weeks coming up there. So let's see, civil discourse, great thing. Yep. Okay, let's see. SeaTac on Saturday coming up. Well, next weekend, I would check back as you go. Doesn't take much snow to get things crazy at SeaTac, but you might be all right, but I would definitely check back. Mainland BC. Yeah, it's going to get cold up across British Columbia too as well. I mean, not a lot of precip to work with the snow coming up here, but it is definitely going to get cold across British Columbia here. And we'll do Western Canada. We're going to go down to 925 millibars here. We'll do temperature, and we're going to back all the way up until current. And now watch this cold air just arrive. Boom, there you go. And look at this thing just sagging south. Now, this is a really good image here because you can see the very cold air here. And this is working as a wedge here that just kind of creates this troughing out in front of it there. But look at that very cold air settle down. Interior BC is going to get really cold coming up here. And you can see that cold air trying to leak out over Washington here as well. And the reason why it's not getting into Western Washington too much is you can see this trajectory over British Columbia here. This takes this long track into Oregon instead. You need it coming off the Central Coast or over Vancouver Island almost back into Western Washington. And it's just staying over the Oregon coastline there a little bit too much. But you can see British Columbia is going to get pretty chilly coming up there. You can kind of see that low pressure spinning there right on the Oregon coast there on the day Wednesday. And that's the potential snowfall for some of the Willamette Valley and the coastal range there in Oregon. Reflect the sun. Thank you very much. Thank you for the generosity. Yeah, the Cascades and the higher terrain across British Columbia are great natural barriers for keeping us out of some of the very coldest Arctic air. I mean, it really saves us sometimes. But would you want this area just flat? I don't think so. I mean, the mountains give us such good character here. A lot of snowfall, good hiking. We got the Great Plains if you want flat. We go out there and visit anytime we want. Yeah, I just check back because there could be some snow later on in the week around the area too, across Pacific Northwest. We have to watch out to see how this unfolds as we go later on, see how much cold air is left around. And if we're going to get a reinforcing shot of cold air on in through next week, we'll check up on that as well. Well, so what's going on there? We'll do the Northwest here. So same thing here. What's going on is this little low right here. You can see it forming here as you go on into Wednesday morning. See that low pressure center there? It's getting some of this very cold Arctic air here, and it's coming back into Western Oregon there. And we're getting this low development here out in front of that Arctic air. And so if that low forms there, you're going to get some isolated bands of snowfall, probably all the way down towards the surface area in the Willamette Valley, at least a little bit of snowfall anyway, and some big snows for the coastal range there as well. Yeah, Kamloops out there, man, they just get the hammer brought down. They don't have the protection. Kamloops up there in BC, they're on the backside of the mountains there, and that Arctic air just has free reign and just pummels down on them out there. Great place for hockey. February 2011, that was a good snowstorm there. I remember that one. Trying to read the chats a little bit here. So if I was planning a trip out of Washington, what's the best route, I-90 or I-5? Ooh, I mean, depends on where you're going. The next few days, you don't want to be driving on I-90 out there. Even I-5 is going to be tough because Willamette Valley gets some snowfall, and then you start hitting the higher terrain through southern Oregon. You're going to be dealing with some pretty snowy conditions. I don't know. I mean, if you're an experienced driver, you might want to try to take I-84 or something like that, but then you're going to be going through the Blue Mountains, which are going to get some nice snows as well. Depends on where you're going. Yeah, I'll read the chat later, you guys. I don't know exactly what was going on there. There's a lot of chat coming in. I was talking a lot. But anyway, yeah, just try to keep it civil. I know Brad's usually very fair, and so we'll just try to keep it about weather if we can. But yeah, I guess I've been on here about an hour now, and I should probably start wrapping things up here, but I will do my normal briefings tomorrow. So you guys make sure to check back. We'll watch to see the path of this low come across Western Oregon. We'll see if we can try to pick up on any features that might form across Western Washington. We'll watch that cold air settle down across British Columbia as well. Big snows coming for the Cascades tomorrow. I might go up there and chase that depending on what's going on here at home, and I may go up there and film some snow and see if I can avoid the pass closures to get up to Snoqualmie Pass and try to enjoy some of that snowfall here. I like to get out there towards the end of the winter there before, things start to turn more towards spring and enjoy the last blast of winter here coming up. Yeah, I saw you guys talking about that too, but yeah, the snow levels are going to be really low all the way down to California here. And if we speed ahead a bit more, you can see this cold air kind of dropping down, especially with the second blast there. This is 925 millibars here. But if we back up here, you can see this cold air all the way down towards Southern California here. So yeah, it's definitely going to get cold across the state of California coming up here, especially through the end of the week here towards the weekend. This storm system's kind of taking its sweet time moving down the coastline here. Might bring some additional or some overly inflated snowfall here. I have a hunch that the models might not even be given enough credit here with the storm system driving down. It may pick up some more snow than what's being forecast. Okay, guys. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks to Brad and the weathermen out there for moderating and everything. There's no way I could keep up with these chats without you guys, so very much appreciated there. And yeah, I'll do my briefings tomorrow, and I might do a live stream tomorrow where I'm actually driving around the snow. So hopefully either Ben or Brad or the weatherman or some of my other moderators can stop by here and help out with the chat tomorrow here as well. We'll try to keep it more about just what's happening with the snow. I made Brad's job pretty hard tonight, I think. Okay, so yeah, thanks, Jay Harrington. Thank you for the generosity, sir. You guys make this all worthwhile. It's fun coming by here, and the community is pretty. Even when we're disagreeing, you can still have civil discourse. So anyway, yeah. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys are gonna have a good night. I'll do my briefing tomorrow, and I will see you guys then.